Scoot Henderson was an interesting player to assess leading into last June's draft because his style of play creates a tug-of-war-like discussion. On one hand, there's a jubilation for the more explosive, pedal-to-the-metal guards that get fans out of their seats. We've seen it with several players over the last 10 to 15 years, including Russell Westbrook, early Chicago Derrick Rose, John Wall with Washington, and Ja Morant of the last 3 years. On the other hand, in today's game, guards lacking great perimeter shooting touch and great size and length are at a major disadvantage. Right now, players that can't guard multiple positions, space the floor, and be a dynamic playmaker aren't nearly as impactful. With all that said, it's way too early to come to any conclusions on a rookie such as Henderson. He's done some good things this season so far, and then there have been some things that have fallen below expectations. What does need to be highlighted is that since he returned to Portland's lineup on November 22nd after a 9-game absence, he has had a positive plus-minus in more than half of the games he's appeared in since then. And most recently, he scored a career-high 23 points and dished out a career-best 10 assists, although the Blazers did lose to the Utah Jazz in that contest. Something that's been working for him is his driving floater. He's made 7 of his 14 attempts this season. He has a pretty soft touch, especially considering the average distance on his floaters is over 10 feet, which is the 9th furthest in the league amongst qualified players. Interestingly enough, his Blazers teammate Malcolm Brogdon has the furthest distance right now on floaters in the league at 12.5 feet out. Along these lines, Scoot's pull-up jumper from 10 to 14 feet out has been effective. On 18 attempts, he's shooting 50% from this range. That's a top 40 mark among qualified players. Something else I'm noticing is that he's pretty good taking advantage of switches in pick and roll. According to Second Spectrum, on his shot attempts out of pick and rolls, 24% of the time a switch has occurred, and he's knocked down 50% of these shots. When a switch has not occurred, he's made 44% of them. I think the thing though that was a little misleading about Scoot is that he doesn't seem to have the kind of burst and acceleration that many assumed. So far, Henderson's blow-by percentage on driving shots is 20%. That's not bad at all. Just for comparison purposes though, Russell Westbrook's blow-by percentage on driving shots was 31% in 2013-14 and just under 29% in 2016-17. Derrick Rose in 2014-15, which was already after his major knee injuries, was at just under 26%. Here are some clips of both in action from those seasons, showcasing their blazing speed and zip off the dribble. Now, the numbers don't tell the full story, of course, but this is something to monitor going forward with Scoot. On drives in general, Scoot is shooting 47.3%, which is pretty decent considering he's just a rookie. Where he's really struggled is with his catching and shooting. He's made just 15.6% of his 32 attempts. Among the 265 players with at least 25 attempts, that's the second worst mark. Only fellow rookie Asar Thompson has a lower percentage. Portland really struggles generating threes off kickouts from the paint. They rank 27th in that category. The thing also about Portland is that they play at a relatively slow pace, which you wonder if that suits Scoot well. Now, 21% of his shots have come in transition, but he's only made 37% of them, which is the 7th worst mark among the 150 players with at least 25 attempts. The Blazers have, under the radar, been a decent defensive team. Their defensive rating with Scoot on the court is actually 5 points lower than when he's off, but he's been fouling way too much. In fact, he's committed at least 4 fouls in 10 of his 14 games, and at least 5 in 8 of them. That's a lot of fouling for a guard. Among all guards, he has the highest foul rate while the opponent is in the act of shooting per 36 minutes. I mentioned earlier that he had a career-high 10 assists against Utah recently. He made a few nice reads in this game, especially on these interior feeds. He's turning the ball over a lot though. Per 36 minutes, he's averaging 4.5 of them. Just some general numbers. Through 14 games, he's averaging 10.9 points, 2.7 rebounds, 4.6 assists, and 0.5 steals, while shooting 36.4% from the field overall and 23% from three-point range. He's 19 of 27 from the free throw line. So that'll wrap up this video. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe.